Today I want to look at some problems involving the area of rectangles. This is something you might be familiar with, but these problems could definitely get a bit trickier. So I'm going to go through some examples to show you. All right, so this problem says the ratio of the length to the width of a rectangle is 5 to 6. If the perimeter is 110 feet, find the area. So the key word in this problem is ratio. The ratio is 5 to 6. What this means is the length, for every 5 units the length gets, the width also needs to get 6 units. So if the length was 5, the width would be 6. If the length was 50, the width would be 60. If the length was 500, the width would be 600, and so on. So whenever you see ratio, the trick is you write in the ratio with an x. So the length is 5x and the width is 6x. And then this problem also tells us the perimeter is 110 feet. So that means if we add up all 4 sides to this rectangle, 5x, 6x, and we have another 6x and another 5x. If we add all of these sides up, 5x plus 6x plus 5x plus 6x, they're going to equal 110 feet. So when we add up 5, 6, 5, and 6, that comes out to 22. So 22x equals 110 feet. Divide by 22, and we get x is equal to 5 feet. So now that we know what x is, we could go back and we could plug x in. 5 times x, 5 times 5 feet, is going to give us a length of 25 feet. 6 times x, 6 times 5 feet, is going to give us a width of 30 feet. Now we know the length and the width, and we could use those to get the area. The area is just length times width. 25 times 30 comes out to 750 feet squared. So whenever you see ratio, the big thing is just to remember to do x. So 5x and 6x. So next up we have a rectangular picture, measures 30 centimeters by 12 centimeters, and it's mounted in a 2 centimeter frame. Find the area of the frame. So on the inside here we have just a picture, and this outside area here, well, this is going to be the frame. This little orange circle here I'm drawing is the frame. So pretty much what we need to do to get the area of just the frame without the picture is we're going to get the area of everything put together, the frame and the picture, and then we're just going to subtract off the picture's area. And we're just going to be left with the frame's area. So the big rectangle minus the small rectangle is going to be just that frame, just what's kind of in between the two. So getting the area of the picture is nice and easy because it's just a 30 by 12 rectangle. So 30 times 12 gets us 360, don't forget the units, centimeters squared, meaning the picture has an area of 360 centimeters squared. Next up, we're going to get the area of the big outside rectangle here. To get the area, we need a length and a width. So let's go left and right first. So the inside picture is 30 centimeters, and then the frame on the outside is 2 centimeters thick. So that's going to be 2 more centimeters on the right side and 2 more centimeters on the left side. So altogether, the 2, the 30, and the 2 is going to give us a width of 34 centimeters. Going up and down is going to be a similar thing. Up and down, the picture is 12, but then we have 2 more for the frame on the bottom and 2 more for the frame on the top. Altogether, the 2, the 12, and the 2 give us a length of 16 centimeters, which means when we put it together, the big area is going to be 34 times 16, which comes out to 544 centimeters squared. Now when we subtract these two, 544 minus 360, that's going to give us the area of the frame, which is 188 centimeters squared. So for the frame, it's just the big picture minus the small picture. The diagonal of a square is 10. Find the perimeter and the area. All right, so we have a square here, so we know all of these angles have to be right angles. And I went ahead and I drew in a diagonal, and I gave it a length of 10. All diagonal means it's the line diagonally across the square. So if you notice here with this, we create a right triangle with half of the square. The diagonal and 2 sides make a right triangle. And because it's a square, we know the sides are going to have the same length. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call that x. Now the trick to this is when you have a right triangle with 2 equal sides, it's going to be a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So that means we have to use our special right triangle relationships. So that's the P, and P root 2. There's a couple of ways to do this. but this is my personal favorite way to do it. So in this case here, the diagonal line, the 10, is equal to p root 2. So we could use this equation to figure out what p is. If 10 is equal to p times root 2, to get p by itself, we just divide both sides of the equation by root 2, and p is going to be equal to 10 root 2. Now we don't like having square roots in the bottom, so what we have to do, we have to multiply the top and bottom of this fraction by the square root of 2. This is definitely one of the trickier parts of the problem, but essentially what happens here is the top, 10 times root 2, we just leave as 10 times root 2. And on the bottom, the square root of 2 times the square root of 2, that's just going to kind of cancel. The square root sign goes away, and we're just left with 2. So now we have 10 root 2 over 2, and now the 10 and the 2 simplify to 5, giving us a side length of 5 times the square root of 2. So in this case, our side on the square is going to be 5 times the square root of 2. Now the question didn't want us to just find the side length, it wanted us to find the perimeter and the area. So the perimeter is 4 times the side length. So in this case, the perimeter is going to be 4 times 5 root 2. Watch, 4 times 5 becomes 20. So our perimeter is just 20 times the square root of 2. Our area is just the side squared, or the length times the width. So that's going to be 5 times the square root of 2 times the 5 times the square root of 2. So what we're allowed to do here is we could multiply the 5's together, the things outside the square root, to get 25. And the things inside the square root, root 2 times root 2, well, the square roots cancel out, and we're just left with 2. So 25 times 2 gets us 50, giving us an area of 50.